2016 is the 40th anniversary of the release of the Ramones' first album. Let's take a look at 101 totally true facts about the Ramones. Be warned, we're only going to take into account the music released on official, full-length albums. The Ramones formed in Forest Hills, New York, in 1974. The name of the band comes from the time Paul McCartney called himself Paul Ramone. The four original members of the band were Joey on vocals, Jonny on guitar, Dee Dee on bass, and Tommy on drums. Joey Ramone's real name was Jeffrey Ross Hyman. He was born on May 19, 1951, in New York. Jonny Ramone's real name was John William Cummings. He was born on October 8, 1948, also in New York, and it makes him the oldest Ramone. Dee Dee Ramone's real name was Douglas Glenn Colden. He was born on September 18, 1951, sharing the same year as Joey. Tommy Ramone's real name was Thomas Erdely. He was born on January 29, 1949. The second drummer of the band was Marky Ramone, whose real name was Mark Stephen Bell. He was born on July 15, 1956. The third drummer was Richie Ramone, and his real name was Richard Reinhardt. He was born on August 11, 1957. The Ramones' fourth drummer was Elvis Ramone. His real name was Clement Bozuski, born on November 4, 1955. He only lasted for 2 live gigs, the shortest serving Ramone. After Dee Dee Ramone left, CJ Ramone replaced him on bass. His real name was Christopher Joseph Ward. He was born on October 8, 1965, making him the youngest Ramone. There were actually 4 Ramones born in New York: Joey, Jonny, Marky, and CJ. And even more interestingly, there were 3 Ramones born in Queens, New York: Joey, Jonny, and CJ. 2 Ramones were born in New Jersey: Richie and Elvis. There was 1 Ramone born in Virginia: Dee Dee. And there was 1 Ramone born outside the US: Tommy, born in Budapest, Hungary. The Ramones had a total of 14 studio albums throughout their career. They most often released an album in September. But they also released at least 1 album almost every other month of the year. Their first album was released in 1976 titled Ramones. And their last album was released in 1995. It was named Adios Amigos. The Ramones had 1 album titled in Italian, Mondo Bizzarro, from 1992. It means Bizarre World. They had an album titled in Spanish, that was Adios Amigos, from 1995, which means Goodbye Friends, a fitting title since it was their last album. The Ramones released 1 album with a country in its title, that was 1977's Rocket to Russia. Their only album title that mentioned drugs was 1993's Acid Eaters. The Ramones were very prolific. They released 2 albums in 1 year, 1977. Those were Leave Home and Rocket to Russia. In the 70s, they released 4 albums: Ramones, Leave Home, Rocket to Russia, and Road to Ruin. In the 80s, they released 7 albums: They were End of the Century, Pleasant Dreams, Subterranean Jungle, Too Tough to Die, Animal Boy, Halfway to Sanity, and Brain Drain. And finally, in the 90s, they released 3 albums: Mundo Bizarro, Acid Eaters, and Adios Amigos. The longest time between albums was 3 years. That was between 1989's Brain Drain and 1992's Mundo Bizarro. On the other hand, the shortest time between albums was 10 months. January 10th, 1977 saw the release of Leave Home, and November 4th, 1977 saw the release of Rocket to Russia. The band's shortest album was Ramones, from 1976. It clocked in at 29 minutes, 4 seconds. Their longest album was Mundo Bizarro, from 1995, at an astonishing 37 minutes, 25 seconds. Therefore, the average length of a Ramones album was about 32 minutes and 45 seconds, which is perfectly punk, fast, loud, and done. Throughout their career, the Ramones published 177 songs. That's a total of 7 hours and 42 minutes of non-stop play. The first Ramones song released was Blitzkrieg Bop. The last Ramones song released was Born to Die in Berlin. The most songs they ever had on an album was 14. The average number of songs was about 13. But the most common number of songs for a Ramones album was 12. Their longest song was Bye Bye Baby from Halfway to Sanity in 1987. It was an epic 4 minutes, 35 seconds. The shortest non-instrumental song was Judy is a Punk from Ramones in 1976. It roars by at 1 minute, 33 seconds. The absolute shortest song is the instrumental track Durango 95 from Too Tough to Die in 1984. It's on and gone in 55 seconds. Their longest song title is Every Time I Eat Vegetables, It Makes Me Think of You from Subterranean Jungle in 1983. It's 10 words and 52 characters. Actually, Every Time is misspelled as Every Time, so the song title is really 11 words and 53 characters long. Besides their numeric song titles, their shortest title is No Go from Too Tough to Die in 84. It's 2 words and 5 characters long. The Ramones released 3 songs with numbers in the title: 53rd and 3rd in 1976, 7-11 in 1981, and 7 and 7 Is in 1993. Joey Ramone was lead vocals in 161 of their songs. Dee Dee Ramone sang lead vocals 7 times, starting with Time Bomb in 1983 on Subterranean Jungle. His last lead vocal song was Punishment Fits the Crime from Brain Drain in 89. CJ Ramone sang lead vocals 9 times, starting with Strength to Endure from Mundo Bizarro in 92. The only album that did not start off with Joey singing was Acid Eaters from 1994. That honor went to CJ Ramone. The song with the least lyrics, ironically, was Got a Lot to Say from Adios Amigos in 95. It has 2 unique lines of lyrics and goes on for 1 minute and 41 seconds. The song with the most lyrics is She Talks to Rainbows, with 13 unique lines, and goes on for 3 minutes, 15 seconds. It was from their last album, Adios Amigos, in 95. The Ramones released a Christmas song titled Merry Christmas, I Don't Want to Fight Tonight. It was on Brain Drain in '89. The Ramones released a sequel to a song, The Return of Jackie and Judy, from End of the Century in 1980, which continued Judy is a Punk from Ramones in 1976. Richie, the third Ramones drummer, wrote a song about Jesus for the band titled I'm Not Jesus from Halfway to Sanity in 1987. It was a very heavy metal style song. Their most violent song is Scattergun from Adios Amigos in '95, with lyrics like I got the bead on you, she fires true, and cut any man right off at the knees, don't need to bother the police. But if you think about it, even from their earliest song, Blitzkrieg Bop in 1976, they had lyrics like, shoot him in the back now. Even their second song, Beat on the Brat, which is about beating a kid with a baseball bat, is pretty violent. The Ramones' most bleak song is Worm Man, the last song from Halfway to Sanity in 1987, with lyrics such as, I'm no good to anyone, and ends with, I wish I was dead. The happiest song is Chasing the Night from Too Tough to Die, with lyrics such as, I'm never gonna tire, live my life as I choose, rock all night, excitement generated. Song titles that start with I, 21. Song titles that start with you, 3. Song titles that start with we, 1. Song titles that include the word love, 9. Song titles that include the word hate, 0. Believe it or not, they had a song for every letter of the alphabet, if you bend the rules for U, V, and X, that is. The first Ramones concert was on August 16th, 1974, at CBGB in New York. The last Ramones concert was on August 6th, 1996, at the Palace in Los Angeles. This list is coming at you from San Diego, California, and the Ramones played here 18 times throughout their career. Debbie Harry from Blondie sung guest backing vocals on Go Little Camaro Go from Halfway to Sanity. Flo and Eddie from The Turtles sung guest backing vocals for Touring, a track on Mondo Bizarro. Pete Townsend from The Who sung guest backing vocals on Substitute from Acid Eaters. Sebastian Bach from the heavy metal band Skid Row sung guest backing vocals on Out of Time, also on Acid Eaters. Lastly, on Acid Eaters, notorious underage porn star Tracy Lords sung guest backup vocals for Somebody to Love. What was Acid Eaters? It was an album completely made of cover songs from 1993. As a matter of fact, the Ramones loved covering songs. They had one on every one of their 14 albums except 4 of them. Did you know the Ramones had their own movie? It was Rock and Roll High School from 1979. The executive producer was Roger Corman, a trailblazer of independent film. Joe Dante gets co-story credit. Dante later went on to create such memorable films as Gremlins. Alan Arkush was the director and was most famous for TV projects like The Twilight Zone, LA Law, and Ally McBeal. The Ramones appeared on The Simpsons in the 5th season episode Rosebud from 1993. The Ramones also appeared on the 5th episode of the 1st season of Space Ghost Coast to Coast in 1994. On March 18th, 2002, the Ramones were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. In 2011, the Ramones earned the Grammy's Lifetime Achievement Award. Sadly, Joey Ramone was the first to die. That was on April 15th, 2001. He was 49 years old. The second to die was Dee Dee Ramone. He was 50 years old and died on June 5th, 2002. Jonny Ramone was the third to die. He was 55 years old and died on September 15th, 2004. Tommy Ramone has been the most recent Ramone to die. That was on July 7th, 2014. He was 65 years old. The Ramones toured non-stop for 22 years. And they fucking rocked.